Are you ready to overcome addictive behaviors? Today, I'm interviewing Anthony of Inclusive Yoga. He has a YouTube channel where he offers chair yoga, and I'm going to ask him some questions on healing from addiction through yoga. And my name's Mandi Gardner, and I'm a trauma informed yoga teacher as well as a DBT skills coach. Talking
Mhm.
about the inclusive yoga that you offer, can you share a little bit more about your approach?
When I first started teaching, I never as inclusive yoga. I always taught very gentle just because it was the way I got into it through an injury. I was always mindful of that. Do you have any injuries? Or this is bothering you? Or this person just had two knee replacements? So then I changed the class. I got in the habit of teaching to the weakest person. That's how I used to think of it. Whoever has the most problems, they're the ones that can get injured if I go too hard. But the people who are really advanced, they're just going to be disappointed. I think in my teaching, maybe offering options for them to be more challenging. But I always taught that way. I had an experience right after my first teacher training where I didn't have back issues anymore, but I was very sensitive to an injury area afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's memory in your body and your mind. I was in a class and it was a new teacher and he grabbed my shoulders in a chair twist and twisted me further. I wound up hurting my back. So after that incident, I never did hands-on adjustments in class. I think it was through my own experience that I naturally made it more accessible or inclusive. Was always into Iyengar yoga, which uses a lot of props. So I always use a lot of props because of my injuries. I think it comes from that at first. And then the chair yoga developed because I got this opportunity to work with this lovely woman in New Jersey. I was teaching at a retirement community and she would come to class. I had a gentle class then for them, and they were doing mat yoga. This woman would come in with an assistant all the time, and she started having these strange issues with her feet. Like she would be her feet hurt in this posture or that. And so she said, would you be willing to come and do private sessions instead of at the class? So I did. And I worked with her for about a year and a half. She had a degenerative condition. So we started doing gentle yoga. And gradually over time, very slowly, the condition progressed. And we would be doing a lot of like, okay, we'll stand for a little bit and then do half the class sitting. And then more and more until we were just on the ground. Then we couldn't get on the ground, so we'd start doing just chair yoga and a little bit of standing to keep the legs strong. Then we went down from that to just seated. And eventually, by the time she passed, I was doing like me moving her limbs, and I was a massage therapist at the time, so massage and Reiki and these kind of things. Eventually, she did pass, but got me thinking if it can work this way, from gentle yoga down to chair, fully seated, it can work the other way too. That's what stimulated it. Everything I had to
Mm-hmm.
figure out along the way, working with her one way, I reversed that. And now we have a fully seated to standing, progressive to standing with the chair to the mat, and then sitting just on the ground doing yoga, then doing gentle yoga. So people can work up to being in a class.
Wonderful. Well, why don't you share with everyone your YouTube channel where they can find some of these lovely chair yoga videos?
Yeah, absolutely. It's called Inclusive Yoga with Anthony, and you can find it around on YouTube. There's different playlists. There's fully seated playlists if you just want to sit, if you're not ready to stand yet. If you can stand with the support of the chair for balance, then there's a seated to standing playlist. There's standing with the chair to the mat, yoga on the ground, gentle yoga classes. So there's everything progressively. You can progress at your own pace. And we even do 30 days of chair yoga every year. Last year we did 30 days of fully seated chair yoga, January 2nd to January 31st. And this year we'll be doing same dates, but seated to standing this year. I was always consistent with my practice. And I think that is the key is it doesn't matter, 15 minutes, whatever it is, but consistency every single day builds up.
What advice would you give to people who are intimidated to start?
I hear a lot from people, I'm not flexible enough to do that. That's the main excuse. Like, if you're flexible, you don't need to do yoga. Like ballerinas, that will be unchallenging for them, like a contortionist. They could just go into every posture to the fullest. What's the point, right? It's about being inflexible. That's the point. And that's what makes the body heal by slowly letting it open, right? And there's nowhere that you can't adjust the posture to. That's why I love Iyengar yoga because there's no place in a posture you can't bring the props to and support yourself. You can always find a modification for every posture. You just have to be creative and start where you are. Like sitting in the chair fully seated, just start there and see, and then adjust for your body. Always listening to your body is the other most important thing. Don't listen to the teacher alone. Of course, take everything as a suggestion, right? Then check in with the body. Raise your arms overhead. Does that feel okay for my shoulders? Do I have a shoulder issue? Then don't do that. So your body knows best, and only you know what you feel in your body. So listening to yourself first.
Tell us your website.
Inclusive Yoga with Anthony on YouTube is probably the best way to find everything that I do because I have everything on
Okay.
there. My
Okay.
website is Anthony Serpiello. It's probably on the bottom of the screen there, but it's
Sure is. Yep.
Serpiello and .com. And it has everything on there. I'm also a musician, so it has my music on there.
You can find me, Mandi Gardner, at Holistic Evolution Shala. Well, thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you
My
guys for
pleasure.
listening or watching.